Yeah. It's one of the more debated matchups. It's interesting that we had different opinions on it because I know I've talked with a lot of players on both sides who believe this to be a strongly favored matchup in both directions.
That's the great thing about Magic.
Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out right now. Ray Upshaw on the play. Shocks for Goblin Guide. Swings. Joshua will draw Darksteel Citadel. And go to 18. So 18 apiece. Great start for Burn. Though we'll see what kind of start Affinity has. It certainly is the deck with the high highs and low lows.
Yeah, definitely. Burn having both winning the die roll and having the turn 1 Goblin Guide is a big deal.
Inkmoth Nexus, Mox Opal, Welding Jar, Ornithopter.
Speaking of big
cranial
deals.
plating. These were the okay. So this is like what I felt like when I played Burn. Is they do this and I say, I'm done. Like I don't. I help.
Yeah, there's 4 artifacts on the table, a creature land that can become an artifact, and that cranial plating already.
He played 5 things.
Relevantly, though, Ray does have a creature in play.
All right.
So a couple interactive spells can, stem the bleeding while he continues to be able to beat down. Initially, we'd like some more aggressive follow-up.
Play will be Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Now, if only that could have been in play on turn 1.
That's how I always feel about that card here. Here, Goblin Guide swings. He will show Vault Scourge on top of the deck for Joshua Dickerson.
There's the combo.
Vault Scourge, Welding Jar.
Vault Scourge, Welding Jar, cranial plating.
Yeah, I'm terrified from the Burn side. I don't.
That's trouble.
Yeah, that's no good.
That's capital T trouble. Actually, this is bad news.
So the swing. Joshua Dickerson at 16. So 16 apiece will pass back to Dickerson. Draws the Vault Scourge. He has Vault Scourge, Etched Champion. I believe a bunch of lands to go with. We know he has at least a Darksteel Citadel, so he'll play that for the turn. I'm interested to see which of the 2 creatures he goes for. Both are pretty good with the cranial plating on them, in all honesty.
Yeah, I think that given that the Welding Jar is already in play, I would have gone for the Vault Scourge, though I can't fault anybody for playing Champion here.
Yeah. He'll play Etched Champion. Eidolon racing if he gets the trigger here. Depends on what was said.
Yeah, no game actions have occurred since the Champion came into play, so if Ray said something like, that resolves, that's probably kind of
that'd be a problem.
A mistrigger kind of phrase.
The judge will rule that is not too late, so Joshua drops to 14 on that Champion. We go back over to Upshaw. Wild Nacatl. He'll join Dickerson at 14.
Now that Champion's making combat not looking very inviting.
Lava Spike, 3 to Josh, 2 to Ray. This Eidolon is not, it's not even good for Ray anymore.
It's I would make an argument that it's actively bad at this stage.
Yeah, well, if he goes too low, he's got to, Affinity's a damage dealing deck as well.
It's one of those damage dealing decks is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, not all of them are. I don't generally play those. I deal here's 20, go.
It would be very easy for me to accept that what you said was technically correct, or I could make fun of you anyway.
You're right. He's not milling him. Ray's going to go ahead and suicide in here. Welding Jar on top for Dickerson. In case you're wondering whether or not that Vault Scourge would die, no, it won't.
And the option here with these 2 creatures is you can attack and have one get eaten by the Champion and deal some damage, or you can not attack and just get punched in the face by the Champion. Wow,
so Etched Champion is going to block Goblin Guide, not Eidolon. Joshua is loud and clear broadcasting, no. I like what this Eidolon's doing. That's great.
He says, look what I have on the table, look what you have.
Ray with 1 card in hand. I don't know. So if Josh's plan next turn, I think you have to decide if he's going to play the Vault Scourge or not this game.
Yeah, especially given that casting Vault Scourge plus 2nd Welding Jar would cost him 4 life.
Right.
It's relatively likely that it
I don't
does not
think he
get
casts
cast.
it. So he blocks the Goblin Guide, takes 2, goes to 9. Well, where he can just equip, he can win this with like 2 Ornithopter hits, right? Draws Welding Jar.
Yeah, currently the Ornithopter chips in for 6, 7 if the Ink Moth Nexus is activated.
So if you swing Ornithopter,
Well,
say go.
You could also just chip in with the Ink Moth Nexus. That's
Sure.
also a turn 2 turn clock. Probably
Sure.
better to go for regular damage given the Eidolon's in play.
He's going to put on an Etch Champion. That's fine, too. I don't know if he can kill him this turn.
I don't believe that is an option.
Yeah, he'd have to get... Well, what he could do... This is actually interesting. If he plays the Welding Jar and attacks, and then activates his Ink Moth, he gets Ray down to 2. And then with that Eidolon in play, Ray can't cast spells.
Yeah.
So it's not lethal, but it's pseudo-lethal,
Yeah,
right?
That's pretty much winning. It's what they call a deterministic victory.
Yeah, it's like if you want to shut off all your opponent's outs, how about you make it so that he can't cast any more cards this game?
The cards on the table can't kill you before yours kill them, and they can't commit any more cards. Yeah, I like this strategy.
Yeah, this is good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artifacts in play. He swings. This will put Ray down to 3, unless Joshua activates that Ink Moth, in which case it puts Ray down to 2. And that's what he'll do, activate Ink Moth. And, yeah, attack with it, too.
Yeah, whatever. What else is it doing?
So Ray goes to 1 poison and, more importantly, 2 life.
Well, see, so the poison is both a moral victory and a demoralizing element.
I could have killed you this way, too. With Ray at 2 and that Eidolon, he can't cast spells. He can't do anything.
Well, if he were to, say, cast a 4-mana spell, of which there are none in his
Just
deck,
gotta stoke the flames him.
you could be like a Gore Clan Rampager.
He could play land and evoke 2 Gold Clan, that and Blood Rush 2 Gore Clan Rampagers.
Yeah, there you go.
That would win. He doesn't have that in his deck.
No.
Here's a swing. Joshua will chump the Wildling Cattle.
Yeah, this is another whatever play. Could block or could not
Ooh,
block.
regen it. All right. Fancy. He'll take 2, go to 7.
Josh doing a great job of pretending that they're still playing Magic.
Well, they're just, I mean, there aren't cards that are outs.
Nope.
He's got to play around maybe, yeah, I guess you'd want to play around Gore Clan there.
I mean,
why not?
If there were something that could happen, in what universe is sacrificing the Welding Jar there going to be a positive play?
Swing, and that as champion is going to win game 1 for Joshua Dickerson.
I like the attack with the Ornithopter. Big fan of that.
So game 1 goes over to Affinity here in the matchup. Dickerson one win away from day 2. We'll go ahead and look at the sideboards. Let's start on Ray Upshaw's side. And he's got a pretty good sideboard, as Burn normally has. 2 copies of Anger of the Gods, 2 copies of Core Firewalker, a full play set of Destructive Revelry, 3 Path to Exile, 2 Deflecting Palm, and 2 Grafdigger's Cage. A lot to like here.
Yeah, 4 Destructive Revelry, no question. Imagine all of these are coming in. Probably some Path to Exile as well to deal with some of these robots. And then I'm curious to see if we'll see some Deflecting Palms.
Yeah, I'm curious. So it sounds good. The Destructive Revelries are great. Path to Exiles are their only answer against Master of Ethereums. Yep. However, once you see Etched Champion, it usually means there are not Master of Ethereums. It's an either or.
Sometimes there's a split, but you can expect, if you've seen any Etched Champions, there's probably not 4 Masters anyway.
You think you just need some number of paths to hedge nonetheless?
I don't even generally like having this number of Path to Exiles on my burn sideboard. I imagine that some of them come in just against most creature matchups if you have them, though. That's just the plan that's going to be adopted here.
All right. On Josh Dickerson's side, he's got 2 Dismember, a Tomb of the Spirit Dragon, 2 Grafdigger's Cage, a Girapur Aether Grid, 2 Ancient Grudges, a Ray of Revelation, 2 Stubborn Denial, another Etched Champion, that would make it the 4th in his deck, a Whip Flare, and 2 Thoughtseize.
The Etch Champion, I like. The Whip Flare, I think I like that one quite a bit as well. And then the Tomb of the Spirit Dragon. I'm a really big fan of this card. I actually played this in the sideboard of the blue-red artifact deck in Standard.
Yeah, so this is interesting. What it taps, and you gain a life for each colorless creature you control.
Oh, it doesn't just tap.
Tap.
You
No,
have to pay. You have to pay
mana.
some
Yeah.
mana for an effect that powerful. But 2 and tap, gain 1 life for
2 and tap.
every
Woo.
colorless creature you control.
1 activation of that actually is pretty good against burn.
Yeah.
If you ever get to do it.
It is significant.
Players are going to get ready for the second game, Affinity versus Burn. We're going to take a second to talk to you about Star City Game Night. So as we move toward the end of June, this means this is your last week if you want to get a copy of Otter Spell. It's, of course, your favorite sea creature countering a spell there. You see 2 fingers for his 2-mana counter spell based off the art there. These are the exclusive tokens and pins that you can win by playing in a participating store near you, which does Star City Games Game Night. These are given away for any weekly tournament at a store. These are prizes that are given. And it changes every month. So we get lots of cute things. So in June, it was the Otter Spell. Coming up in July, if we turn the page on the calendar, it'll be the Snipcaster Mage. So once again, on the theme of things, water creatures that are also magic cards, this is going to be the 2-1 that sees so much play in Modern. And with that, if you sign up now, we can get you signed up in time for the August promotion. So it's not Snipcaster Mage, but it is on the theme of creatures that are eternal playable. It's the young Burromancer. So just that little guy. He's go ahead, 1-1 there, dressing much like his Pyromancer friend.
Yeah, young Pyromancer is actually seeing a ton of legacy play right now. You know, the 2 most popular decks are pretty inarguably Miracles and Grixis Delver at the top of the standings.
Yeah, so you can get this, sign up or find a game night near you at starcitygames.com/game-night. Players getting ready for game number 2 here. For Joshua Dickerson, the player from Lebanon, Indiana, 28 years old. He has 3 Open Series top 8s and got his first Open Series win at the beginning of Season 2. Right now trying to make really a push in Season 2. He's very close to breaking through. An avid gamer, big on video games, TCGs, and tabletops, and a tennis player as well.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a lot of reach. Not really surprised to hear that he's a tennis player.
Both players keeping on 7. Ray on the play. Had the Goblin Guide turn 1 on the play, but was quickly outclassed by Joshua's quick start.
Yeah, Josh only played 5 cards on the first turn.
I think that's why when I was saying as Burn, I didn't like the matchup. Maybe it's not that it's super unfavorable.
But
it's
that happens, and when it happens, it feels like it's so terrible.
Yes. When they play 4 or more things on the first turn, you lose. And it's not like you can play your way out of it. You watch them play all these cards, your heart sinks a bit, and you said, I'm gonna lose this one.
Yeah, I get that.
On the play, they make, turn 1 Vault Scourge, turn 2 Plating Equip, and you're just like, this is dumb. It was dumb. He gained 7. I guess I shouldn't have played the Goblin Guide. I don't know. So Ray starts with a turn on Wild Nacatl. We go to Joshua's side. How many permanents? 1 is, oh my. Inkmoth Nexus is 1. Springleaf Drum is 2. Mox Opal is 3. Ornithopter is 4. Let's just make as many mana as we can on the first turn of the game. Tapping them all for a 5th permanent. Yeah, reasonable.
Is that all? He has options.
He has options.
He doesn't even know what he's doing with this 2 mana.
Plating or Ravager, or no, Overseer or Ravager, or Plating. Just, boy, tough life.
An embarrassment of riches.
He'll go for Steel Overseer. Force Ray to play that kill spell immediately.
So there's some argument that you would want to have Ravager in play before you played Overseer, but the thing is, if you just cast Ravager and it gets lightning bolted, you don't really want to sacrifice these 3 other artifacts to defend it.
If I'm in Dickerson's spot, I expect this Overseer to odds on it living less than 20%.
Yeah, and if it survives, well,
then you win.
Odds of losing the game, probably less than 20%.
So Ray will go ahead and fetch on the second turn. Let's get that Nacatl up to a 3/3. Sacred Foundry will do just fine.
Destructive Revelry would be pretty good here.
See it. Searing Blazes, Searing Bloods, Destructive Revelries. These are the kind of cards that he wants to be casting in this matchup.
Even like a Swift Spear Lightning Bolt, Goblin Guide Lightning Bolt.
All right, swing. We'll see if Joshua blocks. He does not. Goes to 17.
Yep, no surprise there with the no blocks.
You got to try it, though. Maybe he blocks.
Yeah. Stranger things have happened.
Now he's going to suspend Rift Bolt. Uh-oh. Is Steel Overseer living?
This
Oh,
looks
no.
so
Oh, no.
geez.
Josh was untapping. And now things... Welding Jar is the play.
How's that for a top deck?
Yeah, also Stubborn Denial in Joshua's hand.
Well then. Arcbound Ravager,
Yeah,
I imagine will be the play this turn.
Steel Overseer is not going to die for the rest of the game now. Or if so, it'll because Joshua allows it.
It'll take a few things.
Arcbound Ravager is the play. Remaining cards in Dickerson's hand are Cranial Plating and Stubborn Denial.
I like just activating the Overseer now.
Yeah, the question will be whether or not he wants to activate his Ink Moth to put a counter on that too.
Yeah, given that currently the Springleaf Drum is the mana for the Stubborn Denial, I like that he's not doing that.
Magic player is Shane Ballard.
You have a pretty good idea that there's not going to be two things killing the Overseer this turn, but you don't have to take that chance. And that counter on the Ink Moth next is very unlikely to matter.
Ornithopter swings for 1. And passes to Ray, goes to 13. Remember, Ray actually did 6 damage to himself off the lands. So Riftbolt will come off suspend. He's going to... And this is the hard part, right? Do you even bother sending it at Steel Overseer anymore? Or just think this is... go. This is where I feel the burn. Where does this Riftbolt go?
I mean,
It
it seems very unlikely that he'll be able to win an attrition game. If that's the only thing he's doing, that tells me that he does not have a way to kill the Overseer with cards in hand.
Yeah.
So it seems like upstairs is the direction for this Riftbolt.
I agree. Goes to 14. But if you're on the burn side, you don't feel confident about this line either.
No, it's your best line,
Yeah.
but it's likely not a winning line.
Okay, so yeah, he'll play. He'll play to hope if he doesn't die next turn, he can do 14 over 2.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's possible. Plays Wooded Foothills. Swing Dwell in the Cattle. Josh deciding if he wants to take the damage. He will. He'll drop to 11. That's a win for Upshaw.
Yeah. The only way he's getting out of this game is by killing Dickerson.
Yes, but everything has to go upstairs. There still, as we know, a Cranial Plating hiding in Dickerson's hand.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out whether or not or what small thing Joshua needs to actually have lethal on this turn. Because right now, the Inkmoth Nexus is available.
Sure.
He has the Stubborn Denial in his hand and the Welding Jar in play. Arcbound Ravager plus Steel Overseer. Cranial Plating a different way to pump.
Linkmoth was the draw. He'll play it. So you're trying to make a 10-10 Inkmoth with Stubborn Denial backup?
Yeah. So the Overseer can make the Ravager a 3. Then you have 3 easy sacrifices, so that gets to 6, and you can pump it. If you have enough mana for the plating plus doing this.
You do, because you can get counters on it. It's pretty easy to get that Inkmoth up to speed with a Steel Overseer.
And he peeled the land for that as well.
He's going to go for regular damage, though. Inkmoth was tapped to cast Cranial Plating, and now Plating will be equipped to Ornithopter.
When this is also fine. There's no reason that he has to win the game this turn. But if it is possible with these backup tools, I think you just should go for it.
Yeah, well, he always can instead use the Stubborn Denial to counter a possible lethal burn spell.
Yeah.
And just play it that way. Over 2 turns, I think it's easy for Dickerson to win.
Yeah. I don't think that there are a lot of ways to lose this game. Like, the way he loses this game is by being completely reckless. It just looked like he had enough tools to confidently go all in if it was an option this turn.
Yeah, he'd be worried about Revelry plus Path to Exile if he all-in, right? There's 3 lands on Upshaw's side.
Yeah, so the Revelry, you would go for the Welding Jar, and then you would have the Stubborn Denial for the Path to Exile.
Okay. Yeah. You wouldn't get to kill him, but you wouldn't lose.
Yeah, and it definitely seems like just going in for regular damage is the line here.
Plating goes on Arcbound Ravager, a swing. So right now, in play, we have 7 artifacts. So the Ravager's a 9. Ornithopter makes it 10. A tap of Steel Overseer would make it 11, 12, nearly lethal.
So given that it's not lethal, I don't like the attack with the Ornithopter. I like hanging that back, pumping it with the Overseer as a blocker with 4 toughness.
And that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, like that a lot better. He's just trying. I guess what's happening now, he's just trying to visualize, puts those 2 creatures forward, thinks about bumping
If he
them.
wants to all in, he can tap Steel Overseer, put counters on everything, sacrifice Ornithopter. Rather, apologies, no, that still doesn't work.
Yeah, Cranial Plating, Arcbound Ravager is really hard to get ahead with these things happening.
Yeah. You can by sacking the Ravager because of this modular here, but you're right. It's hard to. It doesn't actually grow anything.
Yeah, given that there's no blocker for the Ravager, that's just whatever.
All right, just confirmed. Just Arcbound Ravager in.
Okay, I like that. I think this is a lot better than attacking with both.
Ray, 4 damage. He's going to make a play. Cracks a fetch land. Goes to 12. It's a 9-2 Arcbound Ravager, but it's basically a 10-3.
Yes. Could become that at any point.
Ray will get a basic mountain. Joshua's remaining card in hand is a copy of Stubborn Denial.
Which is now ferocious.
It's a very ferocious Arcbound Ravager. One red mana. Ray will attempt to Lightning Bolts the Arcbound Ravager.
I imagine we'll see 2 artifacts sacrificed to prevent this from happening.
Yeah, Mox Opal will go ahead and sacrifice, put a counter on Ravager, and maybe just a tap of Steel Overseer.
Right, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And there we go, Steel Overseer puts a 1/1 counter on all creatures.
Yeah, there's really no other artifacts that are kind of free to sacrifice, so the activation on the Overseer is better here.
3 damage dealt to Arcbound Ravager.
If he had another kind of worthless artifact on the side, it would be better to not use the Overseer just yet in case there was a Goblin Guide to block. It's very minor that Josh could even potentially lose this game, but losing a blocker, if there was a way around it, he would probably do that.
Now, Deflecting Palm is the play from Ray. Josh can't let that one happen. Here's Stubborn Denial.
Yeah.
So Deflecting Palm, had it resolved, would have done 10 damage to Joshua. Would have been a complete disaster. But fortunately for Dickerson, Stubborn Denial's in his hand. Didn't even need the Ferocious, but it'll work. So it's just a 1-mana negate. Ray takes the brunt of the damage, goes to 3. We'll confirm that for a second.
And I can't think of a specific set of cards that would win Ray the game on this turn that would make sense with the way this game has been played to this point.
So life totals are correct now. 11 for Dickerson, 2 for Upshaw. Plays Monastery Swift Spear. Swing of Wild Nacatl. But the cheeky play is with Ray at 2. If Josh was worried about another Deflecting Palm, he could just try to kill him with Ornithopter.
Yeah. That's definitely an attack. The way that the deflecting palm works, if you attack with both creatures and the palm was lethal for Dickerson, it would draw the game. Is that how that is structured?
Yeah, well, Josh would just sack whatever it was to the Ravager, but if he couldn't
that's
do
also
that,
true.
it would draw the game, yes.
Okay. Yeah. This is another situation where Dickerson would have to rack up some pretty serious game rule violations to come out with a loss here.
So he's going to seal it up on this attack, but we'll see how. Blinkmoth Nexus will be activated. Swings with everything. Ray's got a Destructive Revelry for the cranial plating. Darkbound Ravager will eat the cranial plating. Ray tapped out, no cards, 2 life. That's going to be game. And it looks like match for Josh Dickerson. And there you have it, 7-1. So if Joshua Dickerson, 11th in the Player of the Year race, he gets another day 2 here in Dallas.
So I think I know why we disagreed on the way who's favored in this match.
This is what I always remember it being like.
My Affinity opponents don't do that.
They do the whole like turn 1 drum go, and then you're like, yeah. all right.
Those were Mox Opal is a pretty messed up Magic card.
Yeah.